So today, Lucy's noises for when her computer does things she doesn't like. Okay. So before we start, I want to invite everyone to take your time to set up your space. So setting up your space doesn't have to be crazy, intense, fort building, just making sure that you have the comfy things that you need for practice. So I like to always have at least a pillow and a blanket when I'm practicing yin, and also socks. You don't need to have anything if you don't want, as long as you have a space that's comfy for you to practice, that's perfect. But if you would like to grab some comfy things, take your time now while we start the practice to grab those things. A reminder, I say this because it's my own insecurity. This is my timer. I'm not just there texting between poses. So my phone is my timer. If you see me reaching for that, that's why. So my name is Lucy, as I think everybody knows, just looking at the list as it goes. And we'll be doing an hour of yin yoga. And what I've been really theming this week in my practices or in my teachings is acceptance and balance, something that I think we all can really do with at the moment. I mean, in general, we can all really do with these things. And I could ramble for a while, but you're not really here to hear me ramble. So we're just going to get straight into it. You'll take whatever comfy seat you can find, maybe sitting cross-legged or kneeling, but I will ask that you start seated today, unless you're feeling super tired and you want to lie down. Of course, really at the end of the day, do what you've got to do. But if you can and you have the space, start in a nice upright posture. I'm going to wiggle this cushion underneath just to be a little bit more cozy. And then close down your eyes. And with your eyes closed down, just kind of move really small movements in the body to kind of fidget and wiggle so you can sit still. Find a spot that feels sustainable. And then let your eyes are already closed, let your hands fall to your lap. Let your spine be nice and long. And just start to notice your breath. You might start by deepening the breath and controlling it just a little. Big belly breath. And then exhale, let it go. Now, a reminder, there's no special breath control in the yin yoga practice. Like in vinyasa, we do ujjayi breath for some. But it doesn't mean you can't come back to taking deeper breaths. It doesn't mean you can't come back to focusing on the breath. In fact, I encourage it. So we're just going to sit now and count out the rhythm of breath, seeing if we can extend the exhale by 1 second each time. So let's do it together. Deep breath in. Long breath out, no counting. And then inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Same again. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. We step it up. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 3. Sorry, just a little bit of feedback loop there. Keep going with your breath. Inhale. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more like that. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then let the breath go. Come back to a normal rhythm. Notice anything you notice, whether it's your temperature or the sound of my voice. Just be curious that process of mindfully being aware of something. It's pretty cool that as humans, we have this attention that we can choose to put in different places. You'll take one more big breath into your belly and then let it go, relax. From here, you'll blink your eyes open and start to shuffle your way onto your hands and knees, setting up for our first pose. Now, before we actually get into anything, I will just say that with yin yoga, I always encourage you to practice in a way that suits your body, which means taking breaks if you need breaks, staying in a pose for longer if you want to stay for longer, or even changing the shape completely if that's what suits you. On an inhale, you'll take a really big stretch as you reach your right hand to the sky, twisting breath. And then as you exhale, thread the needle, your hand and arm will come all the way through. So your shoulder and right cheek land on the earth. When you get here, just wiggle into a spot that feels comfy. Sometimes it could be nice to have a cushion under your head. Maybe not, maybe hand. If you feel the capacity for the opening and it's not going to cause you to take your attention too much into discomfort or a strong sensation, you could reach your hand up and maybe even rest it behind you. Maybe you could find the full bind. In every pose, there's always going to be lots of options. And it's in these first few poses that we set the intention to just move in a way that serves us. Find the space in your body. Find the pose that's right for you, even if it looks different to what I'm doing or what I'm cueing. In this shape, you'll take a really big belly breath. Exhale, where can you soften and let go? Another deep breath in. And exhale, let go. When I'm in this pose, I sometimes think about a little baby who's like face planted in the floor and they're just smushed. So maybe that analogy doesn't work for you, but thinking of some kind of posture or some kind of thing in life that you can relate to just really let everything go. The shoulders switch off. The hips soften as much as they can. And we'll spend about a minute here just noticing, just being present in our bodies in this space. If it feels comfortable to do so, I would highly recommend closing down the eyes. And take a deep breath into your belly. As you exhale, if you've gone deeper, take your left hand back next to your face. And then reach your hand up to the sky. Take it back to the earth and push back child's pose to rebound. Any variation of child's pose you have in your toolbox is fine. Notice what you're carrying from your day, energy or lack thereof, whatever else comes up. Maybe on your next exhale, see if you can let some of that tension, if there is any, go. Slowly wheeling yourself back up to a tabletop. And as we move through practice, we hopefully find space to become more and more still and slow, like someone had hit slow motion on your entire body. With that in mind, inhale, reach the left hand high, nice big stretch. And then exhale, thread the needle, the hand comes all the way down. Cheek and head come to the floor. Shoulder. Again, options with that right arm. Maybe it's happy just as a pillow, resting, or anywhere that feels most comfortable for you. It's in the yin yoga practice that we take these long holds that allow the fascia, or the connective tissue of the body, to soften and create space. See if you can find a posture where you can be completely still. And if you do notice fidgets or wiggles, which inevitably often happen, just be mindful of where they're coming from. Is it boredom? Is it deep sensation? Is it energy and an inability to wind down at this time? Don't judge it, meet it, greet it, and notice. Last minute here. Taking a breath in. Exhale, breath, bring the hand back towards your face and ready to unravel, twist, unwind. Big stretch. And then both hands come down. And you push back once again to whichever variation of child's pose. Could be different to the last time. Just letting yourself rest. It can be an interesting process to notice what comes up. Notice the recurring stories that pop up in our mind. One of the most challenging things I've experienced in my yoga journey in this practice is really continuing the practice of understanding that, at least on this mat, there isn't really a right and a wrong. It's just about noticing your process. It doesn't mean we can't aim to go in one direction. It doesn't mean we can't feel like maybe we went in a wrong direction. But it's about noticing what comes up, noticing the fluctuations of the mind, noticing the shoulds or the shouldn'ts. And take a deep belly breath in, long breath out. And then again, bring yourself up to tabletop. I'm going to give a couple options for this next pose, but I'll start with the one I had in mind. So you sit down onto your hip. So this is my left side. I know sometimes Zoom flips it, so I never know which way I am for you guys. But this is my right hip. I said left. This is my right hip. And I'm going to just lean as if I was just hanging out and then shoot my right leg out forwards. My left leg is then going to reach behind and I'm going to start to roll over. So my right leg is coming from the right side of my body out past the left side of my body. This could be enough for a lot of us. You'll feel a really decent hip stretch here. You can also bend the knee. So it's not pigeon pose, it's not deer, it's a variation for the outside of the body. I'm going to show from the front angle as well. So this is me in my like hanging out position. This is my left leg. My right leg comes out from me. And then the toes facing up. Then I start to roll my body across. So if you can see, this right leg is coming across my body and this left leg is going back. If there's space, you can start to walk yourself down over that leg. And remember, you can have a bend in that knee. Make sure wherever the leg is, it's not holding there with strength. So if you release the tension in the leg and it kind of bounces to a bent knee, let it be bent. Come back to this angle. And you could stay upright too if that's far enough for you. But if there is the space and it's not causing you stress or strain, let yourself fold as much as you can into the pose. So remember, no force. There's nothing better about going deeper if it hurts. And there's this idea that as this left hip naturally drops towards the floor, you'll get this pulling sensation opening on the outside of the right hip. So it's a bit of a funny one. Feel free to wiggle around for a moment to find the right spot. You can play around with sending that left foot further back. And wherever you end up, whether it's upright or cushion to the floor, the head drops. It doesn't have anything to do here but relax. Beautiful. For everyone I can see, you're doing it. Notice if your toes are trying to get involved, flexing or pointing, and just let your ankle and foot relax. Just passing halfway now, so it's a little longer hold. And let your belly be soft. Take a big breath in and out. Walk yourself back upright, and then take the time to make your way onto your back to rebound in pentacle. It's flat on the back, arms away from the body, legs away from one another. If you're feeling ready, remember you can always stay for longer if anywhere's giving you this nice blissful sensation that doesn't want to be disturbed, you stay. But if you're ready, you just wiggle your way up however suitable for you to a seat. I'm going to face the other way to demonstrate again. So you come into this sort of side leaning position. This is now my left leg that's closest to my left hand, this way. The left leg comes out, the right leg straightens, so you kind of have this L shape, and then it all softens as you start to roll your right hip down, which makes your left leg be going across to the other side of your body. You can do this with as much of a bent knee as you like. Same with the back leg. And it's this idea or action of rolling this hip down, not with force, not with muscle, but just the gravity and weight of the pose. Again, feel free to wiggle, whether you're folding or staying upright. Find the perfect spot, and when you arrive, let your head drop. Everyone I can see has got it. Now it's just time to commit to the shape and settle in. Any hip openers, whether it's front of hips, side of hips, back of hips, we can bring up some stuff. It's tight areas in our body. So make sure that you're always serving yourself with compassion. It's this training ground of the yoga mat that allows us to strengthen our resilience, allows us to strengthen our compassion to ourselves, but also to others. At any point, you have control over the shape that you make with your body. You can choose. And if you choose to stay, the sensation may be out of your control. But it's that choice, that acceptance to stay, if that's what's right for you. Less than a minute left here. Really soften. Gently, slowly backing out of the pose. This time coming either to your belly or to your back. Our next posture will be from our belly, kneeling sort of area. So wherever you want to rebound is perfect. I'm going for my belly because that's just what feels good for me. Slowly making your way to your hands and knees. So for our next posture, it's going to be 3 choices, 3 stages. You can move from one into the other. For example, you try one, you realize there's a bit more space, you want to go to the other. Also, that works in reverse. Maybe you go too deep and you're like, actually, no, not for me. So I'd recommend if you want to try the deepest variation, which you'll know what it is in a moment, having cushion or rolled up blanket. So the very first option is a wide knee child's pose. This is the lesser of the intense choices. So it's just the knees as wide as the mat, the hips sitting back onto the heels, and the hands reaching forwards. Some of us, especially if we're runners or we go on big walks or bike rides, this is going to be enough because those hip flexors are going to feel it. Those outer hips, this will be enough. If you have maybe more naturally externally rotated bones and there's a little more space, not good or bad, you can come into tadpole. The knees go even wider and the hips come off of the heels, and it's like the hips are starting to drop down to the earth. So it's this in-between place. So the hips aren't on the heels anymore, they're off the heels and the toes are together to touch. If you're in this variation, you can take a cushion or you could take a blanket underneath. And I'd put it like right underneath here, and then you can fold on. If you wanted to go into the fullest variation, full frog pose, you'll take your feet out in line with your knees, and it's the hips dropping towards the floor. Highly, highly recommend supporting this and not just letting the weight of your body hang off the floor unless your hips are practically on the floor anyway, because we are going to hold this for a couple minutes and it is intense. So take your time to set it up and then shuffle into a spot where you feel what you want to be feeling. I always recommend starting no more than 60% of a stretch because it's going to get more intense, as we know, with holding poses for a long time. So take your time to set it up. I'll be here to watch to make sure everyone's going to be okay. I'm not supposed to be doing external rotation, so this is just sort of time for me to be a teacher and watch you. If you feel like you've gone too far, remember the first thing this started with, choice. So choosing what's right for you and taking the time to set that up. If you're shying away from going a little further, maybe that's an option too. So it's really up to you, and I know those two sentences are quite contradicting, but I can't make that choice for you. You make that choice inside yourself. Where is your edge? Where is the place that you can get the most benefit from this pose? And the benefit isn't necessarily a hip opener. The benefit could be learning your limitations, witnessing how you react, maybe witnessing the ego and desire. Whatever it is, settle in and watch the breath. Got 2 minutes left. If you do decide that you need to lessen the pose, make sure you do it slowly. I like to encourage taking 3 rounds of breath before any movement happens. Otherwise, we've got just over a minute left. Stay with the breath. Stay with the sensation. On your next inhale, I want you to fill your belly so you feel it expand. Stay for the exhale. Everything in your body becomes heavy. And then as gracefully as is possible for you, you'll find your way either into a closed knee child's pose to rebound. So the knees close together, give the hips a break, or flat onto your tummy. If there's anywhere else you want to go, you can go there too. But just coming to a neutral position for the hips. So I recommend not rebounding in a wide knee child's pose or a hip opener. Just giving yourself a break and your body the opportunity to release, rebound. Noticing the reaction of sensation. Eventually, from wherever you are, making your way to your belly. So you're lying on your tummy. No rush to arrive, just taking your time. And again, we have 3 options for this pose. Really, there's limitless options, but I'll be giving you 3 options. So option 1 is one hand on top of the other, crocodile pose, forehead to back of hands. Might not seem like much, but this is actually the posture that a lot of physiotherapists and chiropractors will recommend when you've slipped discs in your back, because it's a really gentle, mild back bend. So it's just the forehead onto the backs of the hands. If you want to go a little deeper into your back bend, you might prop yourself up into Sphinx pose. So roughly elbows under shoulders and arms, anywhere that's comfortable for this. A nice thing to do here, if you have a bolster or cushion, sorry, it might get a bit loud with the microphone here, is to take it underneath your armpits or underneath your sort of arms there, and it props you up so you don't need to do any work. You can let your head drop. If you have a block, you can take your head to a block. And then the yang variation, if you want it, it makes it a little harder for the body to switch off, but the deepest sort of stretch of this pose is coming into seal pose. And the challenge here is, how can you set yourself up so that you're using as little muscle as possible? One of 3 options. You'll take your time, find what's right for you. And definitely in this pose, letting that head drop. There's this little hack to the body. It tells the nervous system, let go, unwind, no danger. Inhaling to the belly. Exhale, letting it go. And then however you get there, however long it takes, you'll make your way onto your back to rebound, to unravel. And if you prefer sitting, you can sit, because we are going to do a seated posture after this, but I highly recommend pentacle. And when you arrive, close down the eyes. And if you feel ready to move, the knees might hug into the chest first, just giving a little bit of movement. If it feels nice, you could even rock the knees a little side to side or make some circles. And a lot of hip opening and now some back opening. So just re-stabilizing and noticing. And then after your wiggles, if you've taken any, find your way up to a seated posture, being nice and slow and still. And come into a forward fold. So you may notice I do these a lot. I just think I never have enough caterpillar in my life. So 2 options today. Either the knees are bent and you're hugging in, so creating this closing gap between the thighs and the chest. You can also make that gap close by putting a bolster or pillow there and holding on, head dropping. So there's one option. The other option is I would still recommend having something under the knees, maybe a rolled up blanket, but allowing your torso, your legs to be more straight and your torso to hang towards your legs. Again, in this pose, no matter what variation you choose, the head will be heavy. It doesn't need to work here. Feel free to have a play around with each variation to see what suits you. Mix it up to suit your body and settle in. Again, it's a longer hold, so we're just passing halfway. Know that you can always rebound early if you want to, but if the space is there, stay in the sensation. Belly breath initiates the awakening. Exhale, it's like a farewell to the pose. And then slowly unravel. Find yourself seated, so your spine is upright. Maybe the legs are extended, maybe you're leaning back a little. And just pause, close down the eyes. If it's a comfortable posture for you, having the legs crossed, you might cross the legs and just let the hands drop into the lap, or kneeling, or any upright posture. Eyes closed if that feels comfortable. Chin heavy towards chest. And just feeling this vessel that holds you, that is you. And from here, you'll gently lower yourself down all the way onto your back, coming into our final resting posture, pentacle. You'll just lay flat on your back. If you have something under the knees, that can be nice, like a rolled up blanket or bolster. Maybe grabbing a blankie or socks or anything comfy like that. If you've joined my class this week, you will have heard this a few times now. But as you go into your rest, I'll share with you this, I want to say poem, someone could correct me later, but this little short reading by Rumi called The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. They may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. As always, if you have the time, please stay for longer. If you've fallen asleep, that's amazing. Otherwise, if you're ready to wiggle back to off the mat life, you'll take your time, really, really take your time. But eventually you'll find an upright posture. And the eyes will be closed and the hands will find one another at heart center. A disclaimer I have always felt to share after reading The Guest House and sharing the ideas of compassion and being considerate of others, it's also important to know the balance of self-respect, knowing that you're not a doormat. Yogis are not doormats. And we accept what we cannot control, but there are some things within our control, and it's important to be mindful of that too. So we close this practice taking a deep breath in, a long breath out, and bowing our head towards our hearts in gesture of recognizing our internal power trusting our intuition and leading with our hearts. To each other we say namaste. Thank you, guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I might pop the music back on for anyone if they want to just chill out. Otherwise, I will see you next time.